Okay, Chapter 9, payroll. Why is it you report to work every day?
To earn a check.
To earn a check. All right, for sanity's sake and for your pleasure, I hope there's a little bit something more in it than that, but I'm sure that hopefully, you know, they say you love what you do, you love your work, you never really work. But yes, I love my work, but I still don't think I would do it for free.
Exactly. I know that's right.
So we go to work because we want to earn a paycheck. Now let's talk about what goes into supplying you with that paycheck and with that payroll and getting those funds deposited into your bank account for your use. So Chapter 9 payroll, our objectives are prorating annual salary on the basis of weekly, biweekly, semi-monthly, and monthly pay periods. Calculating gross pay by hourly wages, including regular and overtime rates. Calculating gross pay by straight and differential piecework schedules. Calculating gross pay by straight and incremental commission, salary plus commission, and even drawing accounts. Section 2, we will compute FICA taxes, both Social Security and Medicare, which is withheld from your paycheck. And your employer must also match those withholdings. We will calculate an employee's federal income tax withholding. We will determine an employee's total withholding for federal tax, Social Security tax, Medicare, using a defined wage bracket table. And finally, in Section 3, we'll talk about FICA taxes for employers and self-employment tax for self-employers. We'll calculate FUTA and SUTA, which are federal unemployment tax and state unemployment tax. We'll calculate employers' fringe benefits, and we'll assume the estimated tax for all self-employed individuals. We ready? All right, gross pay. Let's define some terms here. When we talk about gross pay, what are we talking about?
Before they take taxes out.
Top level dollar before they take taxes out. Total amount of earnings due to an employee for work performed before any payroll deductions are withheld. Net pay.
What you actually take home after the deduction.
We can redefine it as take-home pay. This is the amount shown on your paycheck after all payroll deductions have been withheld. A salary.
Fixed gross amount paid distributed over periodic payments without regard to the number of hours worked.
A fixed dollar distributed to you without considering any hours worked. It's fixed over that period of time and it is not drawn upon and based upon the number of hours worked. All right, let's look at how do we define a weekly. If you get paid weekly, how many paychecks are you going to draw per year? 52. It will not be uncommon if you're doing research and you will see this number being multiplied by 50. I can tell you that it's accountants before the use of technology and before such relying on technology when it was all done by hand. Annual pays were calculated usually using 50. Again, we assumed 360 days instead of 365. Thanks to advances in technology, we can get more precise and we can actually get paid 52 times. And we actually use 365 days. But if you are set up on a weekly payroll cycle, you are going to take home 52 paychecks per year. Bi-weekly, 26. Semi-monthly, 24. Try to distinguish between bi-weekly and semi-monthly. Those two often get confused. But bi-weekly, you're getting paid every 2 weeks. That's important to know if you're the one drawing the paycheck, because those are probably the two most common pay methods that employers are using. And you can see you get an extra 2 weeks right here. You're going to take home 2 extra pay cycles. And again, monthly, we're going to assume you get 12 once per month. Okay, wages. Who can talk about wages?
Earnings for routine or manual work. Based on the number of hours worked.
Earnings for routine or manual work, usually based on the number of hours worked. Your hourly rate is going to be the amount you are paid per hour. Hour work, what are you being paid? And overtime. All right, now according to federal law, the amount an employee is paid for each hour of work, right now federal law dictates anything that you work over 40 hours per week will classify as overtime if you are on that hourly. Something that's really drawing under examination right now on salaried individuals. Now, I can tell you the IRS is really leaning on employers. I've been a salaried person my entire career. And since day one, I have worked more than 40 hours per week. As a manager, I was expected to work more than 40 hours per week. You probably find yourself in that situation. All right, but remember, your salary is supposed to be based upon 40 hours of work performed. So the IRS is leaning on employers to document that they are indeed only requiring you to work 40 hours per week. And we want to couple this with some other changes. How many people get emails forwarded not from me or from your friends, but from your employer? Who gets emails on their phones? Who gets emails on their laptops? Okay, it might not be uncommon that you have your work email forwarded to your phone. You might even be provided with a mobile phone by your employer. Okay, again, the IRS is saying that if you receive an email at 10 o'clock at night and you log onto your computer and you start to reply to your employer, or you start to reply on behalf of your employer, that should be constituted as work being performed.
When does it go into effect?
I don't want to say it's not been a law that's been passed. I'm just saying that when the IRS is leaning on employers to document that they are not overworking these salaried individuals, they're also taking a look at working on off-duty time. Now, in my industry, I mean, every phone, if you send me an email to my work, I get it on my devices, and I probably respond to you at night. But again, I have employees, and I circumvent this by sending, and I have a golden rule in my organization. I do not expect you to reply to me. If I send you an email at 10 o'clock at night, I do not expect you to reply to me at 10 o'clock at night. And I can show that I've documented that and saying you're only required to reply to me when you come into the office under your normal work schedule. All right. How do we calculate an employee's gross pay by hourly wages?
Keep their hourly rate.
The hourly rate multiplied by regular hours worked. And if we want to calculate total gross pay, what must we include if it is a present? Overtime. So if we take the hourly rate multiplied by hours worked, that's going to define your normal payroll. And then if we have to add on any overtime dollars, that would of course add on and affect your gross pay. If you work overtime, you're going to have a higher gross pay. All right, let's look at this example. Jim works at a factory and earns, so we're gonna have Jim, and Jim earns $7.50 per hour. So this is gonna be his regular pay. We'll put RP.
Poor Jim.
Or Jim. But Jim does make more than minimum wage. All right, with time and a half for overtime and double time on Sunday. So his overtime is going to be set to 1 1/2, and Sunday 2 times. What is his total gross pay for last week if he worked 45 hours, Monday through Saturday? So Monday through Friday, he worked 45 hours. And then on Sunday, he worked a 4-hour shift.
What does that say? Something times 2? I mean, 2 times, what is that?
Sunday.
Oh.
So to calculate his regular pay, what are we going to do?
3 times 750.
We're going to take his hourly rate and multiply it by what?
750. Well, 40, right? Well, 5 hours is overtime if you work 4 hours.
So how do we define that?
Because your 5 hours would have to be time and a half. And 40 hours is 4 weeks. Over.
Your hourly rate multiplied by your regular hours worked. So Jim's regular pay, his hourly rate is $7.50 multiplied by what?
40.
So Jim's regular pay is $300. And what about his overtime pay? How do we calculate his overtime pay?
I multiplied 2 into 750.
So the hourly rate, let's first set up the formula. Hourly rate multiplied by
2.
OT factor
Right.
multiplied by what?
Would be
Overtime hours worked.
overtime, yeah.
OT hours worked.
Make 11.25 times 5.
So we take his hourly rate, 50, plus the overtime factor, 1.5 hours, overtime hours was 5. So what's his overtime pay?
56.
And what else do we have to calculate?
Is Sunday hours. Is that right? Yeah. It's Sunday hours.
So his Sunday hours, so he earns this on Saturday. And for Sunday, we're going to apply so $7.50. What's the OT factor here? 2.
2.
2. How many hours did he work?
4.
4. So on Sunday, what do you earn?
60.
$60. Now, to calculate his total gross pay, we are going to take the 300 plus the 56.25 plus the 60. So what becomes his take home pay?
416.25.
416.25.
And I would only.
All right, what is it if we are going to pay someone on a piecework schedule? Piece. Not piece what we want to spread through the world, but you know.
Pay rate schedule based on employees' production.
All right, piecework schedule. Pay rate scheduled based on an employee's production output, not based upon the number of hours worked. So you're going to pay them based upon individual output. Straight piecework plan is going to be a pay per unit of output regardless of output quantity. Individual, I'm going to pay you this amount for output. Differential piecework plan is it gives a greater incentive. Rather than being a flat rate, you're going to put a higher percentage, you're going to put a higher incentive on increasing output. Because in this, compensation is going to be based, you're going to get the flat, but then as output increases, gross pay is going to increase. You're going to pay them based on output. So you're going to give an incentive for an individual to produce more. If you find yourself in a conference room having a debate, what do you think one concern is before you would put someone on a differential piecework plan? What is something that you want to ensure? You want to be sure you're not sacrificing quality. You want to be sure you're not compromising your operations or your ethics.
You don't want them to do the piecework so fast that they're lacking in the quality of what they're doing.
Correct. Okay, so for a straight piecework plan, how are we going to solve for this?
Quantity times the rate.
Output quantity multiplied by the rate per unit. Differential piecework. We're going to multiply the number of output units at each level by the rate per unit at that level. And then in step 2, we will find the total gross pay by adding the total amount from each level. Let's look at an example. James works at a manufacturing plant. So, hello, James. And he's on a straight piecework plan of 43 cents per piece. So we're going to talk about a straight under a straight piecework plan, and James gets paid so James gets 43 cents per piece. What's going to be James's total pay if he produces 937 units. He's going to produce 937 units. Gross pay is equal to $402.91. How are we doing this? We're going to take the 937 units multiplied by
43 cents.
the pay per piece for 43 cents. And that gives us
$402.91.
$402.91. Now we're going to look at a differential piecework plan. I'll tell you that we're going to give pay levels So level one, we are going to define if someone does with 1 to 300 units, we are going to pay them 68 cents per unit. Level two will define as output 301 to 500 units produced, at which case we will pay them 79 cents per unit. We're going to have 4 levels. So level 3 will define as 501 to 750 units. And then finally, level 4, I'm going to say greater than 750 units. We'll give them 94 cents. Now, last week, we're going to say that Jordan, so under this plan, Jordan is going to produce 361 units. And let's just keep working on James. James is going to produce 789 units. So what is Jordan's gross pay? So what we're going to do first for Jordan?
Eastern pay level 2.
So Jordan, what's his output?
361.
361 units.
This times
They're gonna
2,
multiply
79
51 cents.
equals to.
You ladies zooming on us, are you following us?
Yeah,
What are we going to multiply Jordan here by?
300 by 0.68 cents.
So we're going to take for Jordan 300 times
No.
0.79
That's not right. It's
It's pay
361
level
units.
2.
times 0.79.
0.79, she said.
Hold up now. See, let's not attack the answer yet.
Okay.
Whichever one of you spoke up, continue.
300 by 0.68.
Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this on the board. So I'm going to come, I've got more room down here. So we're going to say Jordan, it's 300 units by 68. And what is that?
204.
204. So we paid him on 300 units. But now what do we owe him on?
and then 61 by 79.
We still owe him for 61, and because he qualified up into 72, here's where the differential piece kicks in.
Got it.
So his total gross pay is
252.19.
$252.19. Now, James. So here we got Jordan. And now James. 789 units.
Oh, wow.
Would you go to the pay level 4 or?
No.
If you're working with me, keep going. We have to pay him first on level 1.
Okay, so.
So again, 300 units at 68 cents comes to $204.
So in other words, you count each level.
Yes, now in level 2, what do I have to pay him on?
200 units.
200 units at 79 cents. And that is $158. Do we still owe him for units?
Yeah.
Yes. So how many units do I have to pay him at the level 3? We still owe him for 289 units.
250.
So we got to pay him the full 250 here at 86 cents. Or $215 here. Do we still owe him?
Yes.
Yeah, we still owe him 39 units on the level 4 rate. 39 units at 94 cents per unit. 36. Take my math, 36, 66. So James's gross pay becomes $613.66. So remember, that's the differential piece to it. That's a good spot to end though. What you're going to look at is commissions. You'll look at straight line commissions. You'll look at incremental commissions. Remember this model. Okay. Remember I said your FICA rates. With your FICA rates, you're going to pay Social Security taxes. Remember that. You're going to pay Medicare taxes. So, real quick, what's the Social Security tax? Just flip to the end of the text. I won't keep you but a few seconds here, but I want you to know. Your Social Security tax.
Oh, 12.4.
12.4%. Now, this book is written in 2010, I do believe. Okay, your Social Security tax is actually 6.2%. where you get the 12.4. 6.2% is withheld from your paycheck. Your employer is required out of the employer funds to match that 6.2. So you actually get 12.4% credit to the Social Security. Medicare. And you want to look at Social Security taxes are capped. They are adjusted for inflation. The percentages stay the same. Last time I looked, 113, I think it might be around 114,000. So you'll pay it on the first 113,000. Check that number for me. It's pegged toward inflation, and that's how they keep up with. Now Medicare, 1.45%. You have withheld. Your employer also matches that. All right, Medicare, or excuse me, you also pay federal unemployment, state unemployment. Now finally, minimum wage. What's the federal minimum wage rate here in the country?
$7.25?
$7.25. Kansas, what's your minimum wage, state minimum wage rate?
7.25, I think.
25. Wisconsin, what's your minimum wage rate?
$7.50.
$7.50. Indiana and Kentucky, we are both at $7.25. So just remember, now California just recently passed a minimum wage law that took them up over 10. There are states, perhaps Vermont has an $11, that's the highest minimum wage rate. The federal government gives you the minimum rate. Each state dictates the amount they want to pay. So if they want to rise above the federal rate, they have the right to do so. All right. Thank you for zooming in here with me. I hope, again, apologize for technology issues, but I'm glad we got this worked out. And so I hope you gained from getting a better view of the board.